the sauce team, anything extra that we can do as 4-in-1 techs that will keep us in the career field. We're going to use the same login for Zoom, the same login and ID every single time for the Zoom meetings. After we're finished, the Zoom meeting will be uploaded to the Facebook page so people can still ask questions if you weren't able to log in for this meeting. I want to introduce you to Sergeant Williams and Sergeant RP joining us from Fort Sam Houston, and they are our Phase 1 instructors. So y'all can go ahead and take over.
All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Williams. Like she said, I am one of the Air Force 4-in-1 instructors here at METC. I have been in the Air Force for 8 years, all of which spent here in San Antonio, Texas, right? I recently got here. I started here in November of 2018 for a 3-year commitment. So next year, come November, I'll be finishing. And this is my counterpart, Tech Sergeant RP.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tech Sergeant Juan Rodriguez. I've been here in San Antonio since 2017. I'm going through my 3rd year as an instructor. I've been in the military for 8 years as of May last month. I came in at PCS from Travis Air Force Base. So, pleasure to meet everyone.
Yeah, so basically about our job a little bit, we are just Phase 1. As you know, our job has our Phase 1 and Phase 2, so we are just the didactic portion of our job. Once they get to Phase 2, that's when they start getting their actual hands-on practice. So here, they go through a rigorous 9-week course consisting of both labs and lecture. We go over everything from anatomy and physiology all the way down to aseptic technique, and then we go into their mock demo surgery. And our job is basically just to be counselors for the students, to hold them accountable for their dress and appearance standards, just basically all the same Air Force standards, right? And then also instruct them. So anything else about the job itself?
Among other things that we have to do as part of our responsibilities is to monitor the progress on Phase 2. And one of the things we have to do is mainly coordinate with the MTIs and student processing to assign them to one of our 5 different locations that we have here on stateside, and then coordinate with the course supervisors, and therefore monitor that they are fulfilling all the Phase 2 requirements or all the clinical training requirements for their Phase 2.
Yes, so that does fall on us as well, making sure that they get their 256 training hours at Phase 2. So basically the requirements for this job is you have to apply through AMS. I applied through AMS for this position, but back when Sergeant RP came, he actually was vectored.
I was vectored to the position.
So it's no longer like that anymore. Now it is an application process through AMS. Of course, same typical things, last 3 EPRs, CERF, passing PT test. If you have your CST, which is our certification as surgical technologists, that is a huge plus, although it is not mandatory. If you are selected, you do have 6 months to achieve your CST certification. Along with that, you also do have to have your CCAF upon arrival, 6 months after that. So CCAF, CST, and then you also will need to attend a basic instructor course for any instructor position.
So as you heard, Sergeant Williams, there is a series of requirements that you have to meet before you actually start officially instructing in the course. Now, a couple things that can put you ahead of the curve if you're really interested in applying for this job is having your CCAF or your associates as a minimum requirement, and also having your CST. That will alleviate the wait time of just you getting certified or you finishing your associate's degree once you actually get here, and that will put you a leg up, and so that way you can start teaching sooner and faster as well.
Yes. Also, obviously, 2 years on-the-job training too. You must be in the career field for at least 2 years to be selected as well. Basically, our regular work day is Monday through Friday, so that's a huge plus. We don't work weekends, we don't pull call, we don't do any of that. but it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So it's a little different than typical OR hours. And sometimes, you know, you're coming in at, you know, maybe 6:30 and then staying until about 6 some days. So it always changes depending on the class loads, how many classes we have going on at one time. At any given time, we can have 4 separate classes running at the same time because we do have 16 iterations of classes annually. So it is a very busy job, right? Especially when there's only 3 of us.
And on top of that, since our time or our training time is so limited, in some cases, if, for example, if a student fails a test, we have to come in earlier to retest them earlier, so that way he doesn't miss any training time during the actual 8 to 5 hours. Also, the squadron or your unit may require you to stay in either late or come in earlier just to participate with student PT as well. It's only a couple times a year, or depending if they need more people, but you may be also required or asked to participate in those sessions, or to stay in late for welfare or health
and welfare checks.
Health and welfare check, which is just going to the dorms and making sure that they're not doing anything out of the line or out of the policies that were established by their commanders. It's pretty much like going room by room and just verifying that everything's up, it's good, and our students are taken care of.
Yep, and that's just that same, you know, customs and courtesy stuff that, you know, we have to hold them to. Can you read Senior Master Sergeant Nahar's question? All right. Will you read it?
So a question from Senior Master Sergeant Nahar is, what does Phase 1 do when there's a student who struggles with the curriculum? So a couple things that we actually do for that. We actually incorporated self-study guides or study guides that were created by us as instructors that actually reinforce the material that is in the course. That's one. Another thing that we do is we also send them to a program that is a faculty development program where they actually see the students and they meet with them one-on-one, and they go with all the lines, teaching them how to properly study depending on their study habits. Another thing that we do is specialized individualized assistance, in which we actually have them come in a little bit earlier than lunch, and we just sit down with them and go over the points that they either miss on the test or they're not really understanding well. Or sometimes even like stay in a little bit later if we need to, just make sure that the students just understanding everything. Mandatory study time is another one. So instead of coming in at 8 to 5, they have to come in at 7 in the morning, and they do an instructor-led session for 1 hour of all the material that was covered the day before. It's just an intensive, but a more condensed, but it's also made to make sure that they are understanding the material and all the questions are being asked before the full class comes in.
Yes, so right now our attrition rate is right around like 25%, and mainly that's because of our first block of instruction. We start out, you know, like a fire hose, right out the bat with anatomy and physiology, and that's where we see most of our students struggle. So like he was saying, we do have that mandatory study hall for that first 2 weeks of the 9 weeks where they get, you know, that individualized attention. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
So going over real quick the blocks of instruction on our Phase 1, just like Sergeant Williams stated, our first block covers anatomy and physiology, which is a really intensive course of just cardiac, digestive system, every single system that we have in our body, just condensed into just 8 days and 2 tests that they have to cover. The block 2, it's when we start introducing infection prevention, microbiology terms, or hygiene, like proper hygiene techniques, or disinfection, how to properly use the surgical attire.
And then SPD as well.
And SPD will move into the 3rd block. Mm-hmm. It's when we start talking about disinfection, proper ways of processing every instrument in SPD, as well as making sets. Then the 4th block is when we start talking about circulating duties. Circulating duties are about all the things, all the responsibilities, or everything that we expect that they will be expected to do as a circulator, which means like opening supplies for the tech, skin prep, patient transport, patient positioning, and then moving away from that, the last block is scrub tech duties. It's when we do everything from hand washing, gowning, gloving, back table setup, draping, assisting the surgery and the surgeon in a basic appendectomy. And we're actually moving away from that, and we can actually send pictures to the group so that way everyone can see the new mannequins and what we're actually moving, since we're moving into an open laparotomy with new mannequins.
Yes.
So we'll send pictures about all on that and we can share them later on.
Yes.
And then the sixth block is just all labs. It consists of putting all the knowledge that they actually compiled from the previous blocks into one test that lasts 2 hours. And it's just everything from circulating duties and all the scrub duties all put together in one test. Now, the last block of instruction, it's more
Specialties. We're going to be talking about surgical specialties. We go over OBGYN, ENT procedures, urology procedures, ortho procedures. So each student is given a case study, and that's where they learn those case study processes for phase 2. So they know how to create a case study, right? So that they're prepared for the procedures that they're in at phase 2. So that's all of that.
So we have another question. How do you as an instructor deal with Air Force students and Navy students who have more advanced training as corpsmen? How do you bridge the gap?
So I'll speak on that. So actually, our Air Force students don't have more knowledge than the Army students. So as all of you guys know, this is a tri-service program, so it's Army, Navy, and Air Force. So the only students who do have a leg up are the Navy. They do become corpsmen before they come to us. So basically, this is kind of a shred out for them. We get students who are straight out of high school. So we're kind of just as bad as the Army, right? As just basically knowing nothing when they come to us. How we bridge that gap is we definitely try to link those students up with the Navy who know more, right? Who can help them in that classroom setting. We definitely tell them to rely on their classmates to help them get through this because they do know everything. You know, they're technically medics at that point. So that's kind of how we bridge that gap. But we also, like he said, we give those students that individualized attention for sure.
And of course, all the other resources are also used when we actually identify a student that it's actually weak in some points or some areas, especially the anatomy and physiology, which corpsmen like the Navy, Navy and students have a leg up.
Yeah, but so more going into, you know, if you're wanting to apply for this job as a surgical tech, I will tell you, I tried to get this job because I have a huge phobia of public speaking. So I really wanted to set myself out, you know, out there and really get over this fear because, you know, as we all know, as we progress on through our career, we're of course going to have to do that at some point. So I took this job for that reason. I started our P's down at the MIF with just the Navy and Air Force, and I'm actually up at the MIF with the Army, Air Force, and Navy. So those class sizes are anywhere from 75 to 100 students, right? So if you have a fear of public speaking, this is a great opportunity for you to get over that. I will tell you, in the almost 2 years that I've been here, that's almost non-existent now. So I appreciate that. But what made you take this job?
Mine was more like I always wanted to do something different outside the OR and outside SPD, and the opportunity was presented with. I always voice out to my flight chief and my supervisor that I wanted to do something different. So the opportunity came up and I took it. I always wanted to do either, to be honest, either recruiting or this one. This one came up and I just took it without hesitation. And it's been a great experience so far.
I forget you were kind of voluntold. So he was voluntold, but he still loves to be here.
In a way, I like to think that I was given the option.
Yeah. So how much interaction do the phase 1 instructors have with phase 2 from Sergeant Kaloides? So we have a lot of interaction. So interaction as far as, hey, this member graduated today. They should be leaving tomorrow to head to you. Then they let us know when they arrive. So it's very, very regular communication. They let us know how their progress is going. Of course, they have to send all the documentations back to us because we are the record keepers for anything that's phase 2. If there's any disciplinary issues, since the students at phase 2 still do belong to us technically, to our command, anything disciplinary has to come back to us. So we actually have a lot of communication. And for anybody who doesn't know, there are 2 CSs for every phase 2 location. So there's 10 right now. Very regular communication with them. Yep. All of them are on speed dial because there's always a lot of issues.
So what do you all do when you're not on podium? Admin, professional development. So when we're not on podium, we do have, like, as well as any other location out there, we also have extra duties.
Yes.
Extra duties may be inside whatever we have as instructors, or like, for example, Sergeant Williams she's actually the SAPM right now for MIG-T for the squadron. She actually handled it for me, so I actually give it to her so she can progress, and so she can progress in her career.
Mm-hmm.
But also, one of them is maintenance of the graduation packets from phase 2. So we have to go over each one of the blocks for each one of the students to make sure that everything was filled out correctly. All the sections were signed. So each grad pack has numerous pages, and we have to review each one of those for each one of the students. Any other responsibilities that we may have outside the unit, like squadron SAPM or unit PTL, or if you're part of a Rising 6 members, and
but I will speak on that. So what do we do off podium? So here at METC, the instructors here are very, very competitive. So a lot of the people here are the best of the best. So I think a lot of the people, our listeners, people who are considering coming here, it is very competitive. So if you're not on podium, yes, you need to be doing those extracurricular things. You need to be being involved at different levels, go into those professional developments. Thankfully here, there are a ton of professional development opportunities. So yes, that's what we're doing off podium, but also going to school. This is a good opportunity to go to school as well, right? So I do that as well.
Going to school, we also, the program also provides the opportunity to participate in other professional development programs that also help you as an instructor, like courses that allow you to better develop curriculum courses, as well as to be an instructor supervisor. You have to oversee all the instructors in your section, not only Air Force, but you also have to oversee the qualifications of the Army and the Navy instructors, because despite the service or the rank, they're still instructors in the course. So the accreditation is the same, and they all look at the same way. So we have to make sure that everyone is keeping up with their paperwork, certification, training hours. We all have to take the same test the student takes every single year to recertify. So we have to make sure that all the instructors are taking them, and as the same way as any other section, if one of them is not doing it, then we have to go look for them and make sure they're doing it. Other responsibilities as Air Force lead, like sending reports to our squadron, or how our attrition rates it's doing, or how our students are doing. Keeping up with students that being held over. So even though we don't necessarily work directly with the orders, we do have to make sure that the orders are still moving forward. Otherwise, a student can get delayed here, and a student that gets delayed may start losing skills, or those basic skills that they acquired in order to move on to phase 2.
So that kind of answers your question, Senior Master Nahar, about the is there any growth as an instructor? So yes, definitely. So Sergeant RP, he came like a regular instructor like me. He was then the instructor supervisor, then the Air Force service lead, right? Because there was 3 of us. Then Sergeant Key left. He was our other try, right? He left. Sergeant RP took those positions, right? So there's those 2 positions, and then also every 2 years, is it 2 years or 3 years? The program director rotates among services. So now our newest instructor, Master Sergeant Lopez, she's going to be taking over as the program director next year. So that's another opportunity you can do as an instructor here, is be a program director for a tri-service program. So that's absolutely awesome.
And that will put you in a different level of responsibilities that we still haven't achieved, but pretty much like you're overseeing the whole program, and you're overseeing every single service is fulfilling the accreditation requirements for the whole program.
And you just asked if there's opportunities to change curriculum. Yes, of course. So we are technically looked at as the SMEs for the career field. We just went through a curriculum change. Actually, we just implemented it May 8th, right? So this newest class just is now starting it. So yes, we do have opportunities to change the curriculum. So we get to have our input. Each instructor will get a block of instruction, a lesson plan, and it's your responsibility to kind of update it, find any things that can be changed, things that can be updated, all that good stuff.
And in the event if you're like the service lead for each branch of service, like in my case, along with Navy and Army, we were not technically assigned a specific block. We had to oversee all of them to make sure as they were getting turned in, we had to like make sure that all of them were actually good. And even after the curriculum change was completed, we still had to go through a process of validation, in which validation is making sure that the curriculum it runs well. All the students understand the new material presented, as well as it's presented in a logical way. And normally it takes 3 classes or at least like a couple months for that to be completed.
All right. So how much do you interact with MTLs? Again, a lot. So anytime a student doesn't show up on time, we're reaching out to the MTLs. Also, as an instructor, you do have your responsibilities of doing PT with the students, right? Helping the MTLs out on the weekends, on Saturdays, right? They have minimal staffing, so as an instructor, we also help out the MTLs, making sure that with the health and welfare checks, we do those with the MTLs. We have a lot of interaction with them. They let us know where the students are at. They also facilitate the movement from phase 1 to phase 2. So they help them get their plane tickets, all that stuff. And disciplinary. So anything that doesn't happen in the schoolhouse, they're the ones that handle the disciplinary, right? But then they let us know about everything. Like we let them know about everything academic-wise as well.
Now, another question is, can shreds apply to instruct?
Yes. Not for our regular SLIP program. So you can only apply as a shred for the urology, ortho, or ENT.
Now, can you assist in the 4-in-1 course as a shred instructor? Yes. As long as you meet the qualification criteria that's having your CST, and also you have to get, of course, approval from the program director, and you have to get SMTs and subject matter tested in the courses that you're going to teach.
So like he said, yes. So like, for example, Tech Sergeant Walker, she's our urology instructor. She just does not get enough cases or classes to keep up with her hours, her instructing hours. So she will come and assist us because she is CST qualified.
Now, another question is, has your command talked about instituting mandatory CST like Navy and Army?
There's been whispers. Yeah.
There have been talks about it, but we don't have anything official yet. So once an official consensus has come down from our higher leadership, then I'm pretty sure that all of you guys will know.
Yes.
But no final consensus on that. Just talks.
All right. So is the pipeline program coming back? So we have trialed it once already. So what we did, we've only done it for one member, but we're looking into doing it for the other shreds as well. But where we have the student attend phase 1, they go to phase 2, then they come back for their specific shred out. So we did trial that with one student who did come back for ortho training, and she is out there operational now. So we're still in the trial phases. Again, that's something that we haven't heard a lot on as of lately, but I'm assuming that's just because of the whole COVID thing. Obviously, there's a lot of people teleworking right now, so I'm sure there'll be more to hear about that soon.
The idea was to continue with the pipeline concept in order to alleviate shreds like ortho and ENT that were critically manned. But like Sergeant Williams said, it's still put on pause. It was put on hold. So as of right now, we haven't done one yet.
Okay, who do you communicate with for changes in the curriculum? CDC manager, training manager, CFM. So it's kind of everybody. So yes, we consult with the CDC writer, who is Master Sergeant EJ. We get with Mr. Crawley, who is our training manager, also with our ISS. So that is Mr. Schramm, also with our program director. So it's a big collaborative effort amongst everybody.
the main thing when a curriculum change is happening is all three services have to be in agreement with all the changes that are happening. So if we as Air Force want to do like a change, for example, we would just want to do laparoscopic surgery for our mock surgery demo, the Navy and the Army has to be has to agree with those changes. So it is a long and tedious process. Since I've been here I've been working with the curriculum changes that we just applied since 2018, and most of it was getting all three services to agree on the changes, and then after that there's another process that go, and that involves all the individuals that Sergeant William mentioned, which is a resource allotment and how much it's going to impact hours is going to, if we're adding hours, if we're subtracting hours, since all that may affect the amount of credits that we give in per CCAF.
All right. Okay, so what do you dislike about this job? So what I like about this job, right? So I love the interaction with the students. I really, really love that. I love making an impact. I also love knowing that I'm contributing to the surgical techs that are going out to the workforce. That's awesome. But I also love, like you brought up, curriculum change. I love being a part of the curriculum change, bringing my experiences and then helping change the curriculum. I also love that I don't pull call. I love that I don't work weekends. So that's a good thing about it too. What I don't like, there is a ton of paperwork. That's what I dislike. It's different than our regular surgical job, right? So we're on the computer a lot, just dealing with paperwork. There's a lot of disciplinary issues. There's a lot of academic issues, reliefs, stuff like that. It's all paperwork. What do you dislike?
I mean, I like to teach. I came from family teachers, so I always had that insight from my family that they were all like, oh, teaching's the best experience. And it's actually a great experience, especially since you're making an impact on all the airmen that are coming into the career field that we're going to see later on. We're going to be working with them later on. So knowing the quality of people that we're pushing through actually gives you yourself a gratification. So it is actually what I expected it to be.
So we got about 3 minutes until retreat's going to start. So we'll have to take a brief pause there, but we'll answer this question real quick. Do you get a CCAF degree in what? Are there other perks for being an AET instructor? So that's a really great question. So like I said, you have to have your CCAF in surgical technology, but once you're here and you're done with your internship, right? Once you've done your 100 hours of teaching, you've attended BIC, you have your CST, you also get a CCAF as an instructor. So that's awesome.
So you get you get a second associate's, and on top of that, you can also, as you actually complete hours through teaching, you actually get different levels or a certificate that assign you different levels of instruction, and those certificates actually have equivalents on the civilian side. So if someone actually gets out and just decides to go out and get a teaching job as a civilian, you can take those certificates and they are equivalent to a teaching degree on the civilian side. And you can actually use that to teach even here in Texas as an educator or as an instructor with those certificates. So that's something that's really important for everyone that coming in here and taking advantage of those things. Second CCAF as a minimum, along with all three certificates. Now the third level, you need a bachelor's degree to acquire to get the third level, but that gives you a higher accreditation when you actually go into the civilian side. Another thing that you can get is a master instructor position. Master instructor position is a little bit more complicated to get, but as a master instructor, also same thing. Going on the civilian side, there's a lot of GS positions that actually hire master instructor positions, since that certification itself is worth thousands of dollars in the civilian side. And if you're staying in as a military, that will give you a leg up if you want to do like a resiliency trainer, because you already have the experience as a teacher. So you're just standing in front of people and you already have the ability to connect or to talk to individuals other than people that don't have it. So definitely you have
Stand by.
stand by.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting.
All right. So, Harlan, how many views are you going to show of your face? Okay. Senior Master Sergeant Nahara asked, after instructor duty, how do you transition back to the career field? Do you stay at BAMC or WASC, BOP, an option for you?
So after you transition, now the special duty, it went down from 4 years to 3 years. Therefore, as far as I read the regulation, the BOP option may not be
an option. So it has to be 4 years time on station to
Yes.
qualify for BOP. So I just went to 3 years. So I don't know if I'm going to get a BOP, but I'm still a mandatory mover. I'm still coded. So I really don't know if I'm going to go to BAMC or WASC. Hopefully not. So I think that your dream sheet is still in consideration, but I will have to get guidance on that. Senior Master Sergeant Nahara.
Yes, same here.
Yes. So he should still get his BOP though, because he did 4 years.
Yes.
But now, as an instructor coming in new, it is 3 years. But you can always extend for an additional year. Again, I don't know if that makes you qualified for the BOP. I'm still trying to get an answer for that. All right. Any other questions? If at all you have downtime, are you allowed to go scrub to keep up your skill set? It's a good question. That has been something that we've tried to put into place for a while now, but since our only options are really Lackland and SAMC, and since we already have students there as it is hard to get into scrub as well when there's students that are there also needing to get their phase 2 hours. So we're still trying to work that out as well. We could always go TDY somewhere to do that as well, but budget.
What can you do this with this experience after the
one.
military? So we already talked about that one.
So yes, it's what can you do with this experience after the military? Like you already spoke about, it is a great opportunity. I could teach in Texas if I wanted to after leaving here if I was to get out. And if I were to become a master instructor, I could teach anywhere pretty much. And also how to apply, selection process, like I stated before, it's all through AMS now and you have to apply. I believe that there was an application or an ad just put out this past month that I believe has already closed out. So and that should be looking out for that every 2 years.
So at this moment, if anyone has any other questions, you can shoot them through the chat and we'll just answer them.
Yeah. A big question is if instructors get additional pay, and that is a negative. So I will put that out there too.
I got
MTLs get paid, but not instructors.
I got an answer from I talked to our chief one day about that, and he said that all depends on the career field manager, that because they have to justify the pay every year.
Yes.
So, but not every instructor gets it either. I mean, I don't think a lot of them or any of us here do.
Do what?
get that.
Yeah, no,
special thing.
no instructor, only MTLs, and it's $350 a month. So that's a good opportunity too. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think Chris is typing. Sergeant Kaloides.
I'm not. I just unmuted myself.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anybody else has any more questions, but like
We got
I
one
said,
more.
oh, we have another one.
Is there bonus pay? No.
No, only if you're shred.
Yes.
And urology just got taken off the list.
So you do Master Sergeant Harlan, right? Yes. So yeah, no bonus pay. There's no real incentive aside from the career progression, obviously the degrees and stuff like that, but monetary incentive, no. All right. Anything else, Sergeant Kaloides?
No, I just wanted to reiterate that this will be on the Facebook page. So tell your people that weren't able to log in that they can find this there to find the information. That the next meeting is going to be on the 24th of June, and that's going to be with our Phase 2 instructors. So Sergeant Ware here at Nellis and then Sergeant Lewis at Keesler will be our hosts for that event, and that's going to be at 5 o'clock Central Time as well. The password again, or the meeting ID and the password again, are going to be the same for every single login. So I'm sure that there's going to be another email that's going to go out to remind everybody again, and I will keep updating the Facebook page with reminders too, because I know we're all busy and we forget things. But thank you all for logging in, and thank you, Sergeant Williams and Sergeant RP, for
Thank you for having us.
Can I chime in just for a little bit, Sergeant?
Of course you can.
So I just want
Sergeant
to take this time, Sergeant Williams, Sergeant RP, thank you so much for educating us on Phase 1 instructors. There's a lot of questions I kind of threw at y'all. I knew the answers just because I taught EMEDs and knew what you guys fall under. I think it's important just for anybody that's even interested in being an instructor, whether it's Phase 1 and Phase 2, and just understand that information. Information is key so that people are informed, you know, of what those roles and responsibilities. I think it's important that the information that we share, especially from both of y'all's perspective, gives them kind of like, okay, yeah, I think this is something really that I want to do. You have some people that don't know, maybe they're voluntold, and gives them at least an understanding to know what the job is really about. I know that you do have a lot of people that hopefully will reach out and just to hear from you guys, but Sergeant Kaloides wanted to share information that not a lot of times is shared across our career field. And I think this is important because that information, whether you as a supervisor don't want to become a Phase 1 instructor, but you have a troop that seems like they're very passionate about teaching, about, you know, what they learned when they went through Phase 1 back in the day. Just being able to educate them on that information, not just for me to know if I want to teach. It's just to kind of share that among peers, among subordinates, or even superiors. If you have a tech sergeant out there that really wants to do something and is tired of the same old, you know, working from SPD to anesthesia in the OR, and we continue that same cycle, this is opportunity, one of many, that obviously we'll use this platform to share with foreign ones, so that you guys are more informed than I was back in the day as a young, dumb staff sergeant. But thank you again for that time, Sergeant Kaloides. Thank you for putting this together, Sergeant Harlan and everybody out there. Appreciate you guys chiming in and trying to get information so that people know what's going on as Phase 1 instructors.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
For logging in, yes.
All right. Well, I hope to see you all next time on the 24th at 5 o'clock Central Time.
All right, sounds good. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.